This is the Albuquerque Business Podcast with your host, Jason Rigby. Each week, we interview leading local business leaders to inspire the vision and spirit that is in every entrepreneur, discussing strengths, weakness, strategies, systems, and the problems we can all solve together to fulfill a shared vision of a new future for Albuquerque.
Hi, my name is Jason Rigby, and welcome to the Albuquerque Business Podcast. Today, we have some very special guests. We have Melissa and Ken from SPME. I want to thank our sponsor, Duke City Marketing, for the latest state-of-the-art digital marketing agency in Albuquerque. Go to www.dukecitymarketing.com. That's www.dukecitymarketing.com. We also have today with Melissa and Ken. Hello, guys. How are you?
Hello.
You guys also have a digital marketing company, right?
That's correct.
We do.
Yes. Yeah. Melissa, can you explain a little bit about it?
Well, it's called Southwest Publishing Marketing Entertainment, which is SPME. So we do a lot of digital marketing, and we have a huge platform, not only in the cannabis industry, but throughout the industry here in Atlanta, or here in New Mexico, Georgia. We're taking it elsewhere. So Kenneth, I'll let you finish speaking on that.
And with that, we have a few brands that we manage, such as the New Mexico 420 Fest and the 420 Bud Girls.
We're going to get into that here in a little bit. This is interesting. We already intrigued people.
Yes.
So we're event organizers, publishers, marketers. We pretty much do it all.
That's cool. And so you mentioned the dreaded word, everybody, there's whether we have negative or positive comments on it. You mentioned the word cannabis. Can you explain, Ken, a little bit about that? Like, what do you guys specialize in that? Like you talked about this 420 event. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, we're advocates and we're also cannabis ambassadors. We work directly with the mayor's office. And we're basically trying to promote the legalization of cannabis because, let's face it, our economy needs it. The taxation from legalizing cannabis will definitely benefit New Mexico's economy. New Mexico will definitely be the marijuana belt of the nation. Jobs.
Definitely. We want to bridge the gap between the medical portion as well as the recreational portion of cannabis here in New Mexico. There is a division, and we find that it needs to be bridged together so that way we can have people that are enjoying it recreationally, and then we can have people that enjoy it medicinally. And I think that once we are educated on that aspect, we will see that New Mexico will come together once that legalization happens, and we'll have a more broad spectrum of more obtainable cannabis, like Colorado was when it was first legalized, but we will have more experience based off of, the insight that we had from Colorado and also the insight what we've had from the medical part here in New Mexico.
That's true.
Yeah, and what is so it's NM420 Fest?
Yes.
What is that in particular?
New Mexico 420 Fest.
Yes.
Oh, okay. And Ken, because we were talking earlier off the air, it's been going on for 3 years now?
It's been going on for 3 years. We promote 2 days of peace, love, music, and art. We're building a platform to bring community together, local businesses, to educate each other and to celebrate in the benefits of cannabis.
What are the dates on it?
April 20th and 21st, 2 to 10 p.m. This year was a free event for our community. We wanted to bring it free to the community. The last 2 years, it was an entrance fee to get in, but this last year, we made it free to the community.
So if somebody wants to get a little bit more information, or maybe they do you have vendors there, or what is all there?
Yes, we had up to 50 vendors at one time here on Central Avenue. So we blocked off 3rd through 7th Street.
And that's what's going to be out this year?
That's where it was this last year.
Oh, this last year, yeah.
The next year following up, we'll give you an insight on that here in a second. But this last year, it was from 3rd to 7th blocked off on Central Avenue. The entrance, you can enter on 3rd or you can enter on 7th. We had vendors that were food vendors. We had novelty stores. We had tons of
glass blowers, food trucks. We had a music stage. We had entertainers, local comedians, local R&B, hip-hop groups, rock groups. It was a great event.
Any tattoo artists?
we were encouraging some to come out, but
that's wild. Yeah, I'm surprised they don't.
Yeah.
Surprised that would be something you would think that they could.
Yeah. We had really big vendors there. We had Rio Grande Urgent Care. They were there.
Elias Law Firm. They were there.
Oh, that's cool.
So
Allstate was there.
Yes.
Tons of big vendors.
So if somebody wanted to, could they DM you, or let's say there's a business owner listening to this right now and he wants to, market in that arena are at this festival or whatever, what would they do? What would be the best way to get a hold of you guys?
The best way is to go to our website, which is www.nm420fest.com. Click on vendor, and then you can submit your information that way. Or if you're interested in sponsoring, we have a sponsorship section that you can look at as well. If you go to our website, it has everything that you possibly need to know about the New Mexico 420 Fest and then some.
Oh, okay, cool. And so you said it's mainly it's like music, art. I mean, obviously your cannabis, supporting that. I know like CBD oil is really big right now.
True.
I've been
Yes.
seeing that. So obviously you had vendors that were there for that. Is there local vendors that, I don't know that much about it, but like, are they creating the oil here? And is it organic? Or, is there, because, a lot of people don't understand, it can be an extremely local business. It's not something that you're bringing from the outside in, because we get a lot of that here,
You're right. And we did have a lot of local vendors, which we pride ourselves on. The last couple of years, we've had very extensive local vendors. For example, last year, the year before, we had these LED lights, remember, at the last fest, and they displayed their LED lights. They created the light in a light box here in Santa Fe, and they sold their product at our festival. And we really encourage that. We like larger vendors as far as marketing-wise. We like larger vendors to come to promote at our fest, but we really encourage our local vendors because
Right.
that's what we're here for.
That's awesome, because I think a lot of times when we look at that, if you look at the festivals like in Colorado, I'm from Seattle, Washington State, Oregon, those areas, it's a huge, these events can turn, into, how many did you have quite a bit of people that went out last?
Yes.
Yeah, we had about 2,000, close to 2,000 on 420.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So it's getting bigger and bigger. And
Yeah,
I know.
it's getting bigger each year. Last year, 2018, we had it at Santa Fe Brewing in Santa Fe. The first year we had it in Las Cruces at Young Park. Great big turnout. We've got a great big following, and we love more.
Oh, yeah. That's awesome. Yeah.
Join the movement.
So 2020 is going to be the next one, would be next year.
Yes.
And you guys are probably working on that. So vendors could submit their applications to you guys now
Absolutely.
and prepare for that and get that going
Yes,
in that arena.
I would encourage for them to get their early bird special now because the vendor cost as it gets closer to the event
Right.
gets a little bit, it's a little more costly. But if they start with it now, then we start marketing now. It just helps everybody in the long run.
And the industry's growing.
Yes.
So as far as you guys look at it in the Santa Fe, when we look at government and stuff like that, I mean, Colorado, our neighboring state, already came out there and said, okay, can you explain that? Maybe there's a business owner and they don't know what's going on. They see these dispensaries coming right next to them. Can you guys explain? Do you guys get into that aspect of it as far as like on the legal side of things and what's happening and what encouragement we can get from Colorado?
Yes, I will touch a little bit on the House bill that's been trying to pass here in New Mexico. The last couple of years, we've been trying to pass a bill for the legalization. And unfortunately, because, now that we have a new governor, it's going to be much easier because she's more supportive. So what New Mexico is trying to do is pass the legalization where they can have their local dispensaries provide recreational and medicinal use. They want to be able to provide it for New Mexico and not have people coming in from different states opening up dispensaries. So for example, with this last bill, they really encouraged that if you're going to be opening a dispensary, that you must be a resident for at least 2 years prior to opening a dispensary. So that's where they're trying to preserve New Mexico, where people don't just come in from Colorado or Nevada or any other state just to open up this dispensary and be a huge conglomerate
Right.
business, where New Mexico needs to profit from it.
So they're basically limiting it to people that are residents in New Mexico, and you have had to been here for 2 years. So you
Correct.
don't have somebody coming in from Colorado or Seattle or so.
Correct.
That's good. That way people locally can start these businesses.
Correct, yeah.
And you guys do marketing, and I know you specialize that. Do you do digital marketing for all businesses, or do you specialize in the cannabis industry? How does that work?
Do all businesses.
All businesses. I mean, we've got some computer stores that we do a lot of marketing for. It's all types of businesses. It varies.
So let's say somebody's looking at, now if somebody wanted to start a dispensary now, let's just roll that. Would they go to Santa Fe and submit a license, or did they do it online? And so let's say they get that whole do you know about that process at all? Or
Yes, and actually it's closed right now. So if they're interested in becoming a dispensary owner, they'd have to go to Santa Fe and submit their application. The application itself, just to apply, is closed. They'll reopen that again once this new evaluation, this new session comes into play, but you would have to go down, submit an application. You'd have to have specific requirements in that criteria, and then you'd be put on a waiting list.
Oh,
That
okay.
waiting list gets set up based off of first come, first serve, based on the date that you submitted your application. So it all depends on when you've submitted it. If you've already submitted it, you're good to go. If you haven't, you might have to wait to the next session until the new regulations hit out.
So this could take up to a year for you to even hear an answer.
It could take up to a couple years.
A couple years.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So this is something that until the laws get changed, or because we're in that limbo stage right now.
Right, right.
And then what would happen? So let's say they wait a year, 2 years or whatever, laws change, they open up this. On the marketing standpoint of things, how would you guys come in and help a dispensary out?
Well, since we're guerrilla marketers, I would say you would want to you would want to hire us because we have broken so many barriers. And I think, just alone as a marketing company with the cannabis industry, a lot to be said about just marketing cannabis alone. It's not an easy task. It definitely takes some thick skin. And Ken and I have been working at it for a very long time.
Yeah, I mean, we've developed tons of relationships with politicians, city officials. We're just trying to make it happen. So, I mean, we encourage everybody to contact us. I mean, whether it's McDonald's, our marketing is above all else. I mean, we're definitely aggressive marketers, and we definitely utilize all our resources to get the job done.
Yes.
So I would imagine especially on the digital side of things, social media, I mean, that would be a huge platform. What are you seeing, like on social media platforms? What are you seeing? Is Facebook being more generous with you guys, or Instagram? I mean, Facebook owns Instagram, but are Snapchat being good? Where are you guys seeing a lot of engagement off of?
I would say both. Well, the platforms that we carry, there is a lot of engagement just because we've had this platform for a while. So there seems to be consistency with it. It's leveled out really well. But as far as engagement, I would say that Instagram, for me personally, I've noticed tends to be a little bit more of a push as far as engagement. And when I say engagement, I don't necessarily mean comments or
likes or anything.
More of movement in that site.
Right.
And so I see Instagram being more of a push. What do you think, Kenneth?
It's definitely, I would say Facebook, and I mean, I like the movement we receive on Twitter.
Twitter, yes. Okay.
Yeah, Twitter, I would imagine, yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a lot of people don't understand that platform, and they don't understand the advertising on it. But that demographic that's on Twitter, those are your influential people a lot of times. You would be surprised how many people get their news on Twitter, and you guys know that. So putting anything out there on that now is, I think a lot of people would look at it and think it's 18, 19, 20-year-olds, all UNM students, they're just smoking weed all day long, and those are the ones that are liking your pictures. What are you guys seeing as far as, like, is it housewives? Is it 60-year-olds? What are you guys seeing in that with this arena?
That's a great question. It varies, but just by going off of our insights, I would say it's mainly women. 65% of them are about women between the ages of 35 to 45.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. So it's like young moms and
Yeah,
they got kids, and so they
I'm interested in it.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, and is that what you're seeing, the demographics at your 420 Fest? Or are you just kind of seeing the same thing? Is it a lot of, 65%?
I think it's spread. It's very diverse. I mean, we had 18-year-olds up to 6-year-olds and more.
Right.
So it's very diverse.
Is it a family event?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes, it
so
is.
people are there, and because I know everybody's smoking, and I would imagine.
Yes.
We talked about that earlier. And that was everybody was cool with it. You're not going to get like
and everyone's cool with
handcuffed.
it. You're not going to get handcuffed. Not at all. Come out and enjoy yourself. Have some good time.
Yes.
Yeah, because that's I think especially here in New Mexico, it's funny. I mean, we've gone through it in the Seattle area, and now it's normal. You go to parks, you go anywhere, go to breweries outside. People are viewing it. I mean, cigarettes are actually worse for you, they say. So, but people are viewing it as it's like an everyday thing.
Yeah.
But here in New Mexico, people are still like, oh my gosh, So, have you guys been able to get past how do you get past the stigma of it? I mean, do you still get that? I mean, imagine you get hate comments and stuff like that.
None at all.
Wow.
3 years ago, we're actually, Melissa and I were actually the only two that supported the legalization of cannabis out of Las Cruces. Spoke to a lot of our politicians, and everybody has jumped on this and said, we support it. Even though we may not smoke it, I have a cousin or friend that does.
Right.
That needs it.
Right.
So, no negative information at all.
Yeah, and we've all seen the stories and the videos of people, recovering from different things. I know like seizures and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, especially on the medical side of things, that's proven. We have Big Pharma. I don't know if they're going to get involved or not, but, that whole issue, I think, of it being, a lot of people are looking at it as being a negative thing. But, we have an opiate crisis, especially here in New Mexico.
Yes, we do.
And we look at that, and that has basically been legalized through Big Pharma. And then we look at something like this, it's all natural, that's coming in organic to be able to cure. Now, do you guys get into, when you do, I know you do the advertising, the marketing, do you guys get into the stories behind that, or how do you work with that?
Well, part of our push with the festival was at the beginning was about the educational component. And I think ever since we've done it every single year, we always push that educational piece. So any type of platform that we're using, we always include some type of educational piece to it, whether it's a visual piece or whether it's a blog or whatever it may be that we're educating the community. Because I think the more you know about cannabis and you understand the benefits of it, the less stigma you're going to find. And I think that's where we're at here in New Mexico, is getting past just that stigma of, okay, it's a gateway drug. Well, no, it's not a gateway drug. It's an exit drug. It's an exit drug. Yes. And so, we for the festival and for SPME, we wanted to promote the educational piece as well.
Yeah, they've actually proven, I was reading a book on this a while back, but they were saying, when the DEA, Drug Administrative, and, everything came out in the 1920s and 30s, that a lot of this war on drugs and the situation, and I don't know how much you know about this, but a lot of it was stemmed from racism was a big deal with it. Even the guy that was in charge of the organization, I don't remember his name. I'd have to look it up, and I'll put in the show notes, I'll put this book that I had read on it. But it was interesting how they were targeting inner cities and targeting, like jazz singers. That was a really big deal. They were, locking them up, not allowing them to have a license to be able to perform, because back in those days you had that. So they kind of picked, instead of alcohol, we had that prohibition of alcohol. And, and I think we're in that stage right now where everybody, it's acceptable now, but alcohol is far worse. We're having more issues with, with alcohol and with big pharma, with these opiate crises, and not realizing exactly what cannabis does and will do and help. Because before the 1920s, there was not an issue with it.
Right.
So, we all see the pictures of our George Washington had hemp fields and
that's right.
and the people that were here way before us was all cool with it. So, especially with plant medicines and stuff like that, that's going on. And I just saw that, I think yesterday, I don't know if you guys saw that in Colorado, they're looking at legalizing mushrooms.
Yes. Yeah. Well, they're decriminalizing it first. I believe that's going to be on the docket first. And then once it's decriminalized, the next step with that.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's decriminalized here in Albuquerque in the city limits now? Because statewide?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So do you guys know any bit about that? What does that mean? Can somebody walk around?
Yeah. So for 1 ounce, anything less than an ounce is a $25 fine.
Oh, okay.
So you can walk around and smoke all day long?
Yeah. They're not concerned about it at this point.
How much is it? I've never even seen an ounce or something. How much is an ounce? I heard it's pretty big. It's a pretty big bag. Or
about $150, maybe $100, something on that price.
Yeah, so you get fined $25. So fine in that arena.
So you walk around with 10 grams. 20 grams.
Is that the average use of a day? Would be 10 grams? I would
say 10 to 20 grams a day.
Yeah. So what's this thing, before we go to our break, what's this thing with, because I see it on, speaking of Instagram, I see it all the time. These guys have these big, huge, I guess they're bongs or whatever, and they have they heat it up with a torch or something.
Okay. Oh, yes.
And it's for the serious smokers. You got a Stone Day shirt on, Smokey the Bear, yeah. Hey. Yeah, I'll have to take a picture of that, yeah. But he's got a great shirt on. It's got little weed.
Good, it says down here.
What does it say on the bottom?
Only you can prevent seeds and stems.
Yeah, and it's actually got Smokey the Bear on it.
Yes.
I drove to White Sands the other day, and they actually have a Smokey the Bear museum here.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, here in New Mexico. It's for Smokey the Bear, yeah.
Really? We haven't been to White Sands in a while, and we lived in Las Cruces, so I haven't...
Yeah, I saw it. It said Smokey the Bear, and then I looked it up. We Google everything.
Yeah.
So I looked it up, and there's an actual museum that has all Smokey the Bear paraphernalia. So you need to wear that shirt at the museum.
Yes. That'd be awesome. That would be cool. Take a picture.
Or if there's a big Smokey the Bear, sneak a
little something in there.
Yeah, because that's what you got. That's what, for everybody that's not here, that's what he's got on his shirt. He's got Smokey the Bear wearing a weed hat. And then he's got a blunt, in there. So that's funny. So we're going to take a break real quick, and then I want to kind of get a little bit more into this if we could, and we'll go from there. Thank you, guys.
Join us this week for another episode of the Albuquerque Business Podcast with your host, Jason Rigby. Each week, he interviews leading local business leaders that inspire the vision and spirit in every entrepreneur, discussing strengths, weakness, strategies, systems, and the problems we can all solve together to fulfill a shared vision of a new future for Albuquerque. Listen or download this Sunday afternoon at 4 from your favorite podcasting app.
And I'm back with Melissa and Ken from It's SPME. Is that right, Melissa?
Yes, that's correct.
And what's your website again?
www.nm420fest.com. That's for festival.
Yeah, and Melissa, we were talking earlier about, I kind of want to get into this a little bit with you guys. It took you a long time to set this event up. A lot of people, they have an idea where they want to set an event. Maybe they have some sponsors that want to do something. Maybe not necessarily in the cannabis industry, but maybe they're looking at, arts or whatever it may be. And they're looking at setting an event. Can you go through the process of you guys, if they hired you guys, what would happen if they wanted to, start an event, have something in the summer or whatever it is?
Absolutely. It would be the most ideal to hire us simply because there's so many steps and channels that are involved in creating an event. We have done several of them from within the beauty industry, the computers, the cannabis, you name it. We've done several different types of events. So if you are interested in purchasing or actually just contacting us for a consultation, we can let you know as far as what we would charge to set up an event for you. We would take the ease away from all of that runaround and all of the setting appointments and knowing what to say, that type of thing. So it really is in your best interest to hire somebody to create an event for you.
Yeah, and have the permits and stuff. I think that part
Yes.
would be, and then having those contacts to be able to get that set up.
Yes.
Now, is there, because if you have music and you've got lights and you got a stage, I imagine that all requires, the permits are probably crazy.
Yes, and we have a lot of connections within the industry, in the realm, so that it'd be much easier for us to just, typically takes about a year to prepare for an event. If you have somebody that's doing it for you, we could get it done within between 4 to 6 months.
4 to 6 months is usually,
Yes.
somebody needs to contact you probably like, 8 months out, start, have a consultation with you guys.
Correct.
And then go from there to get the process started.
Correct, yes.
So, or earlier even, that would even be better. If you're,
Yes.
then you could work with them on that.
Yes.
I promise it'll be a showstopper.
Yes.
We promise you that.
We can definitely get thousands of people at your event like we did at ours.
Yeah.
And so we definitely can produce the numbers.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. Because I think a lot of people think of that and then they're like deciding whether it may be like a car show or, I'm just trying to think of events. I know now we're starting to get, they just had it last week at the Bloom Fiesta, but we're starting to get a lot of EDM, music. Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
And doing a lot of that. So if that's something that they're interested in, they could, you guys,
Absolutely.
do music and
Yeah,
Oh,
we do
absolutely.
music
all-
events. Yeah.
We even manage talent. So, definitely if you're interested, if you're a comedian, artist, whatever the case may be, get in touch with us. We definitely have outlets and we can definitely promote your talent.
Oh, cool. Perfect. On social media and all that
Yes,
stuff too.
absolutely.
That's awesome. So I kind of want to get a little bit, if you don't mind, Ken, I want to get into a little bit about, you were talking earlier about looking at doing a documentary on the festival.
Correct. We want to we're looking for a production company team to assist us in producing this documentary on the 420 Fest, the reasons for the 420 Fest and why we're here, and basically get an idea of what we go through as far as setting something so controversial up for thousands to enjoy and participate in.
Yeah, and I think something like that, especially now, like you said, having an educational purpose behind it and people being able to see that, I think that would be something that would be, I know a lot of people are doing documentaries, putting them on YouTube, and it's just amazing the reach that they're getting.
Yeah.
So, and I think, is there any other type of festivals? Are you guys kind of the biggest?
We are the biggest in New Mexico, the largest cannabis event. Yes, we are. 2 days of peace, love, music, and art.
Yes.
So we are the biggest, and we definitely love more work.
Yeah, and I think as more people hear it, as you guys get, because you've gotten in early enough, I think we're now, if you guys are the premier one, you might as well, a lot of people think, well, I could set up this event or, I want to do this. It's a lot easier, I'm telling you, to get in with someone else, be a vendor, try it out, see how that goes. Work with you guys in that way.
And we've seen several events try to make it through the cannabis industry with their type of platform, but the type of platform that we've had and that we've stayed consistent with has made us the largest cannabis event celebration in the state. And because we took it from Las Cruces, Santa Fe, now Albuquerque, and residing here, we have brought a plethora of people around to support this movement, and we're calling it Joint the Movement.
Oh, that's cool.
A lot of other events here, they tailor just to the medical cannabis community.
Right.
Which is a small percentage of the cannabis community.
Right.
What we're doing is bringing everybody together because without medical, there wouldn't be recreational, and
Right.
vice versa.
Right.
So let's not exclude everybody. We're dealing with enough of that exclusion of individuals already in the nation. Let's not add to that.
Right, exactly. And I think that's something, the new soccer team, that's why I love their name, United, and that's what they're doing their advertising on, 505, 575.
Awesome.
And I think that's so important. And a movement like this can bring everyone together. We see that here in New Mexico, the haves and the have-nots and all the different areas and everybody claiming their little tribe, where this is universal.
Yes.
And that's what I like about it. And I like what you said. The first word is peace, right?
Yes.
2 days of peace, love, music, and art.
Yes.
That's what makes the world go around. Yeah, all of those. Yeah, exactly. So let's get into, I want to get into a little bit more with you guys as far as not just the festival, but in particular with marketing I think there are a lot of people out there that are hesitant. They don't know what to do. Maybe, like you said, McDonald's, obviously, you mentioned them, but they've got their systems down and everything. But if let's say you say you represent artists and stuff. Let's say you're a local artist and you've had some interest in music. Do you get into that arena too with them?
As well.
And you'll promote that locally?
Correct.
Absolutely.
Locally, we'll promote it in every avenue that we have. We lived in Atlanta, Minnesota for years, so we have contacts out there. So we're willing to, and our contacts are willing to help our talent to get out there.
And I think the biggest difference between our marketing and local marketing is that we just don't focus on just the local piece of it. We also focus it on globally. Wherever we can reach that market, if it's going to be Atlanta, if it's going to be Minnesota, if it's going to be Nevada, wherever it's going to be, if it reaches, it reaches.
Right.
And that's how we approach our marketing. Someone's going to see it and it's going to be known.
Yeah, and I think a lot of biggest concern too is, they call them starving artists for a reason.
Yes.
So, cost on stuff like that. I know it's always marketing, if it's done right, is always an investment. But for you guys, like a local artist or some, maybe a small dispensary that's starting out, can it be pretty cost effective with you guys? Or do they need to come up with a large expense? Do you guys work with people that way? How does that work?
We do work with people that way. And also if you're an up and coming author as well. We do work with people, and we're not going to hit your pockets hard. It's going to be understandable. We're going to definitely tell you exactly what we want to do and show you the cost as far as making that happen. And so I used to be a struggling artist myself, and so I totally understand, and it's going to be beneficial.
Yeah, that investment alone, whether it's $200, $300, $500 a month, whatever, reestablishing, putting that back into your business in marketing.
Spend money to make money.
Is there a lot of dispensaries that do digital marketing now here in Albuquerque, or?
No.
Really?
No.
So it's a wide open field.
Open market.
Open market.
Wow.
Market.
So yeah, there's like competition wise. So that's crazy. If you type in medical marijuana Albuquerque and there's no ads that pop up, or
they're probably self-created or something they've done on Facebook, but a lot of it's taken down because their wording or how it's displayed or whatever came across and that didn't satisfy the platform that they use it on. So we have been experimenting for years with it and using it as a tool and learning from everything that we have seen. And so now going forward, we know what's going to work and we know what's not going to work. And that's one thing that I think that we are definitely ahead of the game on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's something that's so important. A lot of people don't realize that. Having somebody that knows, that's gone through that process, like you said, wording alone, getting your ad, maybe it's Google ads and somebody on Google types in Cannabis Albuquerque, and then you're, like you said, you're trying to do it on your own and use their, Google. A lot of people don't realize this, but Google is a marketing company. They're not a search. Right? They want to make money off of every single one of you.
Who do you think we got our research through?
So they're out. If their algorithm can make money off of you, you got to have somebody that knows. And like you said, the wording alone, getting a disqualified ad on the Google ad side of things, that can affect your SEO on your website. Do you guys do websites for
website design?
Yes.
We do it all.
Yeah. So you guys are open to whatever, if it's not just on the cannabis side of things, but if it's
no. And if you go to Facebook, it's SPME 505. We also have SPME, our Southwest Publishing Marketing Entertainment, and then we also have SPME 505. And on there, it will tell you specifically what we specialize in. So SEOs, website, video production. We also do logos, designs. There's numerous things that we do. So I encourage you to go to that Facebook and take a look at what we offer.
Yeah, because I think that's something that, everybody has these great logo designs in their head, but getting it out on a piece of paper. Because, using the Zia symbol with the blunt, I think has been used probably a gazillion times.
Right.
So being creative creative enough to come up with something that's still New Mexican, but then at the same time supports the cannabis industry, that would be something that you guys would specialize in on that. Because you got to start off, as you know, as well as I do, you got to start off in that arena.
Yes.
Now, do you guys, so like, let's say somebody was starting out and they were, wanting, whether it's a struggling artist, an author or whatever, dispensary owner, and they're wanting to get ideas. Do you guys do consultation? Do you meet?
We typically like to set a time up aside just to meet you first.
Right.
And
it's not at like 1 a.m. and you guys are like smoking in some.
No. We set a time aside so we can have undivided attention for you. And we'll do a consultation just to find out what your needs are, what you're looking for, and if we can offer that solution for you. And 9 times out of 10, we usually can.
It's amazing how many business meetings I've had in breweries here in Albuquerque. It's just crazy. Everybody, hey, try the latest IPA, and then it's curious to me how many small businesses have made deals being buzzed,
Right? Like these are the Starbucks.
We encourage Starbucks. We like meeting at Starbucks.
I know. I just met with somebody right before here. I have a Starbucks cup in my hand. Yeah, we were having the same thing, So coffee's a little bit better. But yeah, it's funny. After this, I have a business meeting, and I don't know if they're going to meet. He hasn't texted me yet, but I don't know. We'll probably end up meeting at a brewery. It
probably,
seems to be. There's so many of them, but people aren't realizing that how the brewery industry hit. Whether that was 7 years ago, 5 years ago, they were able to develop the licensing, because licensing was a really big deal here. With I don't know if you guys know about the licensing for liquor.
We were out of the state when this happened, but I know that there was something going on.
Yeah, everybody just had, it was like a few people owned liquor license, and you had to get, and people were paying like $250,000, $400,000, for liquor license. Applebee's and Walmart were coming in, paying that big money. You had to get grandfathered in. There were so many of them. So then they came out with the beer and wine license. It's inexpensive, but people aren't realizing that's what's going to happen in the cannabis industry.
Which brings a good point. If you're a brewery and you're interested in marketing and wanting to get into the cannabis industry, reach out to us, southwestpublishingllc@gmail.com. Let us know your interest, because we have some great ideas for this.
Yeah, I was at Whole Foods the other day, and they had a IPA that it smelled like weed. I was like, what? I was like, can I drink this? But I think I don't know, filtered it through hemp or something like that. But there's some great collaborations and stuff like that you guys could work with them. Do you guys have breweries at the fest?
We were at the brewery the second year. We're at Santa Fe Brewery where we had our festival. It was a great location. It just the venue was not as large as we needed it to be, but we had some ideas with Santa Fe Brewing that we wanted to collaborate on, but we just haven't had a chance to talk with him in regards to that. But again, if you're a brewery out there and want to collaborate, we've got some great ideas.
Is it easy to have a beer garden there?
We had a beer garden at our first year. We had a beer and a wine garden. We had Marble was there. Several breweries.
Yeah.
So that for 2020, this needs to get. It just sounds funny, like just the festival in 2020. Yeah.
They have to purchase their own license, though.
Yeah, for that. But I mean, because that would be something that would be amazing to work with. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of collaboration and stuff that could go along with that.
Oh yeah.
Special edition beer with NM420 Fest.
Our 420 Bud Girls.
Oh yeah. Describe that a little bit. What is that?
We have the 420 Bud Girls.
Is this like a Hooters thing?
In a way, it's actually, they symbolize the beauty of cannabis.
Oh yeah, I like that. That sounds good.
They definitely represent the beauty of cannabis. And they're basically cannabis enthusiasts who want to get into the industry modeling.
Yeah.
So can businesses hire?
They can.
Yes.
We use them as promo models. So definitely, if you're having an event, give us a call, and we can get you some Bud Girls out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
brand ambassadors for cannabis.
Oh, okay.
So
cool,
kind of like Budweiser, and they had Bud Girls.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So it's the same thing. So if there's a business out there, whatever it may be, a tattoo shop or whatever, and they want to have a day and have that, then they can get a hold of you guys.
Yep,
in
absolutely.
that arena.
So you're a tattoo artist yourself?
No, I'm not. I wish. I give a lot of money to tattoo artists. But it's just a bad habit. I mean, well, it's a good thing, but everybody kind of has their own little hobby, I guess, that they do. But no, I just go in and sit there and deal with a lot of pain.
Right.
And hopefully I want to have a complete body, so that'll be interesting.
We interesting.
That'll be tens of thousands of dollars, I think. Yeah.
I think that's my same goal too. I want a little teardrop here too. With my mom's initials in it.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. Everybody, it's so funny too because when we look at that industry, we look at all these industries. I can remember. I was raised in a religious home. You're from Atlanta. Are you from Atlanta?
No, actually from Las Cruces. Lived in Atlanta for about 17
cool.
years.
Well, you know how it is with the church and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I was raised, extremely religious. In a Baptist church, and tattoos were like for people that were in prison.
Yeah.
That's kind of how, and now it's everybody, I saw a guy the other day, he was like 63, 64 in Smith's, and he had his head done and 2 sleeves, big beard, so I think this cannabis industry is kind of the same thing, it's kind of the later, but we see the tattoos, we see the breweries going along. There's a new brewery opening up in Corrales by these people, and I think they're like ministers or pastors or something like that, and they're opening up a brewery. So I think it's exciting to see the transformation of things, and I think with you guys are kind of the pioneers with this all.
Yes, and the advocates. We've been advocates for years now.
It's been tough.
So, and I think that's exciting, and I hope that I wish you guys a bunch of success. We're going to go ahead. We're almost at an hour here.
Wow.
So, yeah.
We could talk about it for hours.
So we're gonna wrap this up. Do you mind giving us your guys' website again? Do you know your Instagram? Can you guys look that up real quick so people can go on there?
You can follow us on Instagram at 420 is alive and at NM420 Fest. You can follow us on Twitter at NM420Fest. Webpage is www.nm420fest.com and our Facebook.
Yeah, our Facebook. So we're under SPME 505 or NM420 Fest or Southwest Publishing, Marketing, and Entertainment. You'll see us. We are everywhere.
Plus, you can also go to our public profiles, Ken Thompson and Melissa Thompson.
Okay, perfect. And they could DM you guys or whatever if they have questions.
Yes.
If they're a vendor, then they need to go to the fest.
The easiest
and submit that. Yeah, that's the easiest way to submit for that.
Yes.
And there's an early bird special.
Yes, there is.
So
take advantage of it.
Yeah, so that's perfect. Well, thank you guys. I really appreciate you coming. I know this is a controversial subject, but I love bringing that out there, and I think more business owners need to look into this. The state needs to look into it with the funds that are available. I know a lot of other states, haven't crashed and burned from this, so everybody worried about crime would go through the roof.
Hey, we actually had Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham actually called us and told us she loves what we're doing.
Yes.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yes.
And she was at the fest last year.
Yes.
Oh, perfect.
We got a personal phone call by her. She was supporting this movement, so
that's
join
perfect.
the movement.
Hey, yeah, and you guys will have to try to to get her out again for the next.
Absolutely.
Yes.
For the next fest. Well, that's awesome. Well, thank you guys both, Ken and Melissa. I appreciate you guys being here and being on the Albuquerque Business Podcast today.
Thank you so much.
Yep, thank you.
Awesome.
Make sure you subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, Spotify, tune in so you never miss an episode, and stop by our website at abqpodcast.com. That's abqpodcast.com. You guys have a great day.
Thank you for joining us on the Albuquerque Business Podcast. And thank you to our sponsor, DukeCityMarketing.com. Please go to abqpodcast.com where you can get show notes, resources, and links to everything we talked about today to help you navigate your journey as an entrepreneur and business owner in Albuquerque.